From Soil to Sovereignty, How Indigenous Medicine and Technology Can Redefine Africa's Economic Future. Introduction. Africa stands at a pivotal crossroads. For decades, its economy has largely been shaped by the export of raw commodities, minerals, oil, cash crops, often extracted and shipped out with little value added on the continent. Yet beneath the soil and within its ecosystems lies another form of wealth: biocultural capital. This includes Africa's rich biodiversity, traditional medicinal knowledge, and unique ecological zones that cannot be replicated elsewhere. In a world increasingly seeking natural remedies, plant-based therapeutics, and culturally rooted wellness, this biocultural wealth represents not just a legacy, but a future. The real opportunity for Africa is to move from a passive supplier of raw materials to an active creator of high-value goods and services. This is the essence of From Soil to Sovereignty, turning natural abundance into long-term sovereign economic power. The global value chain and how nations climb it. The global value chain, GVC, describes the distribution of production and value-adding activities across countries. At the bottom are suppliers of raw inputs. At the top are nations delivering branded, high-tech, or IP-heavy products. The higher a country climbs, the more wealth and resilience it gains. Consider Japan and South Korea. Lacking vast natural resources, they invested in education, innovation, and manufacturing excellence. Today, they export world-class electronics, cars, and pharmaceuticals. India. Once threatened by famine, India harnessed agricultural technology, e.g., high-yield wheat, to achieve self-sufficiency and eventually become a hub for global IT and generics. Norway. With significant gas reserves, Norway didn't just export them. It used the proceeds to build one of the world's largest sovereign wealth funds, securing intergenerational wealth. The takeaway is simple. It's not what you have, but what you do with what you have, especially when paired with innovation, governance, and strategic intent. Africa's unique, undervalued advantage. Africa's most overlooked asset is its natural and biocultural diversity, with over 45,000 known plant species, many of them endemic, and a wealth of indigenous knowledge about their medicinal use. The continent holds an untapped library of natural health solutions. Examples: cocoa, Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. Over 70% of the world's supply comes from these two countries. Rooibos, South Africa, a globally marketed herbal tea rooted in indigenous use. Shea butter, baobab, moringa, artemisia, all hold untapped or underdeveloped therapeutic potential. Crucially, many of these plants thrive only in Africa's unique ecosystems. This creates a natural monopoly, a geographic exclusivity that no foreign competitor can easily replicate. When coupled with traditional knowledge systems, oral, tribal, and cultural, this forms a non-fungible economic asset class, Africa's nature as IP. IV, technology as the value multiplier. The lesson from India's Green Revolution is clear. Land is static, but yield is exponential with the right inputs. Similarly, Africa's bioassets can be transformed from low-margin exports into high-value exports through technological amplification. Digitization of traditional knowledge into structured, searchable, protected databases. AI-assisted compound discovery to isolate bioactive ingredients for therapeutic applications. Biotech research centers for clinical validation, testing, and IP generation. Precision agriculture and controlled environments for reliable, high-quality cultivation. Training pipelines for local scientists, lab techs, herbalists, and clinicians. This is how herbs become therapeutics, and how folklore becomes defensible IP. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Section 5, Building an Economic Moat, Protecting and Scaling Bio-IP. If Africa is to retain ownership over its biocultural wealth, it must move swiftly and deliberately to protect it, legally, structurally, and strategically. Protection. Bioprospecting regulations must ensure that any foreign research or commercialization involving African genetic resources includes local benefit sharing. Sovereign bio-IP frameworks should be created at both national and regional levels to register, patent, and license indigenous knowledge in a way that respects cultural ownership. Africa should lead in pushing for international recognition of traditional knowledge systems within WIPO, WTO, and WHO frameworks. Scaling. Regional cooperation, e.g., via the African Union, can enable joint IP registries, shared labs, and harmonized standards. Pan-African institutions, think Afropharma, could centralize research and IP commercialization, much like CERN or the African CDC model. African universities and startups should be incubated around bio-innovation, spanning herbal formulation, regenerative farming, biotech extraction, and health tourism. Just as Big Pharma monopolizes molecules, Africa can monopolize origins, building a branded, defensible layer of economic activity around biocultural knowledge that cannot be offshored. Vision for medical tourism and indigenous biotech. Imagine this. International patients travel to Kenya, Ghana, or Rwanda not just for surgery, but for a curated, integrative healing experience rooted in centuries-old herbal wisdom delivered in world-class clinics nestled within biodiversity zones. This model combines clinical-grade therapeutic regimens based on validated indigenous remedies, luxury health retreats focused on detox, fertility, longevity, or cognitive optimization, culturally rich wellness protocols drawing on African plant medicine, diet, ritual, and ecology. It's not just medicine. It's medical tourism, biotech, culture, and narrative woven into one experience. And unlike tourism alone, this offers recurring economic value through licensing, follow-up care, product subscriptions, and global therapeutic exports. Africa becomes not just a destination, but a standard in wellness innovation. Strategic roadmap. To realize this vision, Africa must act in 4 coordinated phases. Phase 1, documentation and protection. Catalog endemic plants and traditional medical knowledge. Establish regional IP and bioprospecting laws. Form public-private task forces for medicinal innovation. Phase 2, infrastructure and talent. Build labs, clinics, seed banks, and extraction facilities. Launch scholarship and vocational pipelines. Support agroforestry and ecological preservation zones. Phase 3, productization and diplomacy. Develop clinically validated herbal formulations. Create branded export pathways for African-made medicines. Engage in global IP diplomacy for recognition and equity. Phase 4, sovereign wealth model. Channel profits from bio-IP into national and regional wealth funds. Reinvest in science, healthcare, and digital infrastructure. Maintain biodiversity as a permanent capital base. 8. Conclusion. Africa does not need to imitate the industrial revolutions of the past to secure its future. It holds, within its soil and traditions, an uncopyable advantage, a fusion of biodiversity and biocultural wisdom that no other region can replicate. By pairing indigenous knowledge with modern science and protecting that synthesis as a sovereign asset, Africa can create an entirely new economic category, one rooted not in extraction but regeneration. This is how Africa moves from soil to sovereignty, by building wealth that heals the world and can never be taken away.